A position group that we thought probably was going to be a weakness may actually turn out to be a strength.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. The running back room that we thought probably was going to be one of the weaker groups on the team may actually end up being a huge strength. We're going to break that down, all the notes from practice over the last couple of days, and then we're going to talk about our other biggest surprises from camp. We're going to jump into that in just a second, but before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. I got my Rhoback classic Aubie hoodie on right now, throwback. Save 20% using coupon code BARN20. You can get polos, hoodies, pullovers, shorts, pants. Get ready, geared up for game day, and they got you covered. You can save big as well. So check them out. It's Rhoback.com. Bringing my boy back, one of the first repeats from Friendship Friday. Bring my boy back, Sam, on a Monday. So, Sam, welcome back to the show. You know as well as I do, I think you would agree that going into this season, if you had to rank running backs as far as against all the position groups, running back probably would have been close to the bottom. Is that a fair statement before fall camp started?
Definitely. I think you knew what you had in Damari and Cobb, and then after that it was just unknown, and anything you could get you kind of thought of as a bonus. But even then, you thought the floor might have been high, but the ceiling felt kind of low, at least in my opinion.
Exactly. And then after the first viewable practice, I heard what I felt like Derell Robinson was saying. My foot's still messed up, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. You got Cobb with a hand injury that's out. You got Derell that's still complaining about his foot. You got two freshmen. Very impressed with the way Omar looks in general. Alvin as well. But what do you have in him? And then you have Saturday's practice where you have a little bit more, live action. And Damari's actually out for a little bit with a heel injury. So what do you get to see? You get to see a lot of Derell Robinson, and you get to see a lot of Omar Mabson, and neither one of them disappointed. Derell was ripping off big runs. Omar was ripping off big ones. And we're talking about both of these guys running with the ones, not just getting mop up duty against, a bunch of scrubs. Sam, man, if the running back room can be a strength, what does that say about what does that do for this offense? If we're going in thinking, hey, we're probably not going to be able to run the ball, and now it seems like there's not only multiple older guys, but now there's even some younger guys that you could feed if you needed to. What does that do for this offense?
Man, I think having a dynamic running attack, with the options and, the plays that Hugh Freeze puts in where you got read option, you got RPOs, things like that would just be huge because we already have so much, out there on the perimeter to deal with. And then, I think we have several guys with several different skill sets. We talked before the season about how, Damari and Cobb can kind of be those guys that can gash you if you block for them, and then what do you get out of Derell, and Mabson? What do they bring as far as skill set? So I think it's, we have a lot to offer there now if this continues to trend the right way and you continue to see iron sharpening iron in that running back room. I think the skill sets and the offense that they would bring to what we already have, with Malcolm's getting looks at running back, they were, it's just all kind, jet sweeps. It's crazy to see what we might be able to do on offense this year if that keeps tracking.
Man, so the way that Hugh likes to run his offense, when a lot of it is about matchups and a lot of it is, based off of what the defense gives you as far as, the fronts you get. If you have, 3 or 4 of those wide receivers out there, you're going to have to dedicate attention to them.
No
And
doubt.
then if you do that, and you got guys like Derell Robinson and now Omar Mabson that can play with anybody as options along with Austin and Cobb. I'm like you. I kind of felt good with Austin, and then I'm not even really sure how I felt beyond that, even with talking about Jeremiah Cobb. So if you're throwing in Derell Robinson in the mix, that could be a playmaker, and then you got Omar as well. To me, that just makes Auburn such a formidable offense as far as different ways they can attack you. Let's start with Derell Robinson first. Okay, so I think the thought was, I don't really know why, but this was going to be your big back, your guy that's going to be like your thumper, your bowling ball. But he's really one of the smaller backs from a weight perspective in the room. He's a little bit taller, different body style than the others, but it seems like he's really more of a big play running back, like a big play guy. Like I think towards the end of the scrimmage, he busted one for 45, 50 yards. Several others where it's like one cut and next thing you know, he's got 10 or 15 yards. What's a realistic expectation, you think, out of like what to expect from Derell Robinson? I think a lot of it's going to depend on how quickly Jeremiah Cobb's hand can heal and can he get back in there. But like, what's a good expectation, you think, now? Like, is there an opportunity for him to maybe be the guy?
I had a suspicion with him coming in. I know it's going to be going up a level for him, so he's going to have that adjustment of game speed and everything. But he was a home run hitter at his last stop at UConn, and
yes, he was.
He had a lot of big runs, but who knows how he'll adjust. But I think just having somebody that can pick up huge chunks, flip the field, things like that, make a 30, 40-yard run is huge. And I don't necessarily know that we have that, even though Austin has shown that he can make big runs. I think he's better, almost as a short yardage back, somebody that will get you 7, 8 yards, but he doesn't really have the breakaway speed, So I think, to me, Derell Robinson kind of offers that home run hitting ability that can pick up huge chunk plays.
Love it. I think he averaged just under 7 yards a carry at UConn last year. Apparently, from the practice Saturday, he seems fully healthy. So whatever he was feeling about his foot on Wednesday, it doesn't seem to be hindering him at all. So if he can stay healthy, my oh my, at the options Auburn could have in that running back room. We got to talk about my boy Omar Mabson, though. When I told you guys, insanely impressed physically with how he looked, especially him being a year, he's the reclass, so he's like a year behind where he actually should be. But he's actually, I guess he and Damari almost have the exact same measurables. I mean, he's one of the bigger backs on the roster. He looks it, and apparently he can dish it too, and he can not only talk the talk, but he can walk the walk. I think he had a big touchdown run there, maybe the last play of the scrimmage, one of the last plays of the scrimmage, where he's not just running over people, but he undressed someone in the open field. So he's got a little bit of wiggle to him, which we saw in his highlight film. I mean, if Omar is the guy like that we think he is, like, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked about Derell Robinson, like expectations of him being a freshman. What should we be what should we be on the lookout with him this year?
Well, man, he's coming from 7A football. He's had elite production in his high school career, and because he reclassified, he flew under the radar. He was supposed to be coming out in this current class. So, I think he's completely unknown right now, and people are only just hearing, the rumors and the rumblings about him. But I think he's one of those guys that can be that bowling pin that you can lean on 3rd and 2 to get the yardage, and also just, give people my dad likes to say, give people heavy doses of Omar Mabson when it's working.
Yeah.
Just continue to run him over and over again once he gets going. So I think he can be one of those guys, that we had in those early Gus years where you over time that if he gets going, you can just keep feeding him, because that's what he did in high school, and he's used to that. And then of course you've got some different, when he needs a breather, you've got some different skill sets to put in there that keeps the defense on their toes. So he seems like that guy that can run the pill for sure.
Yeah, freshmen, you don't have any worries about them being able to carry the ball. Like that's something they've been doing their whole life, but being able to understand passing concepts, pick up routes out of the backfield, and be able to catch passes out of the backfield. It seemed like Omar did quite a bit of that as well on Saturday, and that's obviously something that's very exciting because it's another element that really we haven't been able to see yet. Like really the running backs have not really been utilized in the passing game that much at all. I think check downs were a theme, a lot of check downs, whether that be to the running back or a tight end. That's something I personally have always I don't feel like we've ever had. We've never had like an outlet pass. I mean, how many yards did Greg McElroy have just checking the ball down to Mark Ingram and Trent and those guys, like over his whole career, and Trent Richardson? Like it's just that just having a guy that you can check it down to right at the line of scrimmage to avoid a sack or whatever. He's going to make the first guy miss. He's probably going to be better than the guy guarding him. And if you can do that when things break down and you got running backs that understand the passing game, I will say there's some other things that we're going to talk about that we're surprised about. But like as far as running backs go, I am elated at what we've been hearing out of camp so far out of that running back room. I think Damari's going to be fine. Jeremiah's going to be fine. They'll be ready for the season. It's just they're going to miss some time. So the good news is you don't have to slow down that much. Alvin Henderson may be the odd man out, and that's fine. It was going to be a long shot for him to be a huge impact anyway this year. So I don't think that's necessarily indicative of anything in regards to his career here. So we got some other surprises that we want to talk about here in just a second. We'll be back right after this. Sam, for the most part, man, I feel like the surprises have been few and far between. It's been a lot of just I guess the word confirmation comes to mind. Like we've had like our thoughts confirmed on a lot of things. Hey, we think we're going to be a really good offense. We're going to have a really good offensive line. Turns out they're pretty dang good. We think we're going to be pretty good in the defensive backfield. They're pretty dang good. We think we're going to have really good wide receivers. They've been pretty dang good. But so it's been a lot of confirming things, but there's still some storylines in there that obviously I don't know, maybe open your eyes, get you even a little bit more excited. So what's one thing that sort of jumped out to you that you either had your eye on, weren't 100% expecting, or something that's jumped out that's been a big surprise since fall camp started?
Yeah, so that's a good question. This one for me is kind of twofold. I'd heard they had maybe had Riddick and Woodyard kind of on a pitch count, maybe kind of keeping them out for a lot of the action. But Bryce Dees, he 3-star, unranked, were his only big offer, and apparently he's running with the ones. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of play the DeMarcus Riddick role from last year, spying the quarterback and delayed blitzes and things like that, But really what that makes me think about is, first off, hopefully that helps our linebacker core, because that was another kind of question mark that people had about the team this year. But the other thing is just, I got to tip my cap to the staff. They have made some amazing evals and developed some of these guys like Malik Blockton, Caleb Harris. Now Bryce D seems like he's next in line, where these are guys that we were probably their biggest offer. We were the people recruiting them the hardest, 3 stars that were unranked, and they've come in and made an impact, freshman All-American, freshman All-SEC. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Dees is running with the ones and gets playing time if he's not the next up in line for all freshman All SEC, because and that should help our room immensely from that perspective.
I agree. It has been awesome to hear some of those names kind of on those same lines. Sam Turner hasn't been a huge surprise, but he's also one of those 3-star guys that was a heavy eval that Auburn got late in the cycle, and he came in spring and was the talk of the town, and he's kind of kept it going. And I think the surprise part of that is just that hearing your name called at all, I think, especially from media and things like that, when you're in a room as deep as that, I think says a lot about you, the player. Yeah. So you got Sam Turner, and then freshman receivers as a whole, Duke Smith, Derek Smith from Southside over in Selma. He's sort of like the forgotten guy, and like people forget I think he was a top 100 player in the country. Like he was a big deal. He was actually came in as an athlete. Weren't really sure. We felt like wide receiver was going to be it. Could play safety, but I think it's clearly going to be wide receiver. In the limited time he's been here, he was a late enrollee, not one of those January enrollees. Already turning heads and making plays. We had several notes in our practice thread of Duke Smith making plays, and he's definitely one of those guys that is going to fight for playing time. And I know that's not going to be easy, but regardless, you're hitting kind of goes along with what you're talking about. Now, Duke's wasn't a 3-star high eval. Like this is a guy that, everybody wanted, and you flipped him from Alabama and you locked him in, and it looks like he's going to be a hit. So I think freshman wide receivers, people hearing their names in this room full of other great wide receivers, I think has been a very, very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, they belong. That's all it is to it,
Yep. You got anything else?
No, man. I mean, it's been nice to hear, that we've got 3 quarterbacks that can all make plays, and that both sides of the ball seem to be making their plays. You're not hearing about the defensive line dominating and making it where we can't even practice. Things like that we've heard in years past, where it's like, okay, this is going to be a problem this year. Seems like we have a complete team. We have DBs making plays against these, high-end wide receivers, and then we have the wide receivers coming back and making plays against them. So it's really exciting. I think the biggest thing is do we have a quarterback? I think everything else is shored up for the most part. So
back to what you were just talking about. No joke. Like when we were getting like the notes from like the one-on-ones, DBs versus wide receivers, you would have like Ryan Schrader was in somebody's hip pocket. Then you turn around and Eric Singleton makes a fingertip catch. Then it's Cam Coleman makes a catch. They throw the ball, drop it in a bucket, and he makes a play. And then it's, Caleb Harris or Jay Crawford is mugging somebody and breaking up a pass. Like you did. It was back and forth, that's all you ever want to hear when it comes out of these things. You don't want to hear one side necessarily dominating the other. You mentioned quarterbacks, and I think nothing is necessarily a surprise there. It's just a confirmation of, I think, what we've heard, just how much better and how much more, I think, how much higher the ceiling is with this quarterback room as a whole. I mean, we talked about it before we got on. I mean, your backup is a guy that could be starting at a lot of schools, a lot of P5 schools. Actually was a starter. Ashton Daniels, I think, especially with his legs, has really impressed. But it's just overall that quarterback room helps you take a little bit of a sigh of relief, or makes you feel a little bit more confident. And you've said it a bunch of times. Like the only thing that really matters is Jackson Arnold. The only thing that really matters is that quarterback room, and especially that starter, and how he performs. And it seems like he's been pretty solid, essentially since fall camps kicked off.
And he's going good on good. That's the other thing too, is people, if that you don't hear his name and you're hearing names of the starters making plays, those are guys he's throwing it to. And then if you hear of Jay Crawford making a play, he's going to be probably an all SEC guy before it's all said and done. So
Exactly.
you're playing, iron is sharpening iron, quite literally. And I think we've got quite a complete team is what I think right now.
So Sam, based off of what you've heard so far, have your expectations of the season changed? Like, or do you still feel? I mean, again, like I said before we started, it's really more. It's been more really chalk. Like, it's basically been confirmation of what we've thought. But like, has anything with the running back situation? Does that make you feel any different? Like, have your expectations changed a little bit, or are they still kind of in the same mode you've been in?
Yeah, I mean, I think. I will say, going back, I listened to shout out to Zach Blackerby. I listened to him with the Locked On Baylor guy, and I think that's going to be a tough game, and people are going to be living and dying by those first couple games, and rightfully so. There's a lot of pressure, but I can't help but think we probably had the most talented roster that we've had since 2017. Easy. And I think about 2019, we won a lot of games, and we had some holes in that roster, and so I think if Jackson Arnold has command of the offense and, everything else kind of goes chalk, like you're saying, I think we're shoring up some of the spots that we had doubts about. But, I think we're going to go over on the win total, and I wouldn't be surprised if we go 9-3, and at the end of the year, people are talking about our playoff resume. I mean, that's honestly where I think we're at right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll be honest. The running back situation, I feel so much better about.
Yeah,
I feel so much better about the running back situation. And I'll be honest, I feel a little bit better about the linebacker situation. I think Woodyard and Riddick are a hell of a 1-2 punch right off the top, and then you drop back and you got Debo Atkins and Caleb Wheatland backing them up. And then you mentioned Bryce Diaz, who can be sort of like another gadget guy that you can throw out there that can be quick and disruptive. I just think there's just so many weapons. Got to do it. You just got to go win now. That's all that matters. So, dude, thanks for jumping in. I'm excited. We got practice today on Monday. We'll have some notes from that. And then I think we have another open period on Thursday that we'll be able to have some good notes from as well. So, guys, thanks for listening. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.